Hey everybody, it's Stan. I'm going to have to redo a couple videos I just did. For some reason the audio was very scratchy and noisy, so I thought best to just redo it. Um, this video is going to be, somebody suggested to me to do like a case study type thing where you talk about an individual and just their symptoms and what they dealt with. And I think in doing that you learn a lot from everybody's different and everybody finds a different way out of this toxicity thing. So this one is just about my dad. Turns out me, my dad, and a buddy of mine who I'm also going to do a video like this on all worked at the same place back in the 80s. And looking back, we were all for sure mercury toxic and a few other things. So anyway, let me get into it. First of all, my disclaimer here, I am not a doctor. I am just sharing my experience, hoping that you guys will engage and leave a comment or a like or subscribe and offer your opinions of what you've dealt with, because I know people read these things. I post things on Facebook and I know people don't like and comment a lot, but they tell me later, I read all your stuff, it's very interesting, it's very helpful. So it's all my intention is here. So anyway, whatever you find here that might be useful, please do your own research. Consult with doctors, all that good stuff, so you can get yourself healthy. My main reason when I started this site was there's too much bad information. I'm not saying I know everything and have all the right answers, but I have an engineering background and I have a pretty good way of getting to the bottom of things or getting to the root cause, and that's what I find people struggle with the most. So I try to point people in a direction so they don't miss things. Like their doctor might say they had their levels tested and their levels are fine, and I say there's no such thing as a good level, even if it's low, and only trace low levels. So you're getting information and you're interpreting it wrong and maybe not pursuing it further because you were told everything is fine, which might not be the case. So anyway, I have this in all my videos right here. My goal is just to keep our minds open to other possibilities as to why we don't feel well. Try to find a true root cause, not the root cause that's 3 levels above the real one. A lot of people have MTHFR. Somebody the other day, I saw a video, said 80% of the world population has it. That's way more than what I was reading when I wrote this. I'll keep it at 50. It really doesn't matter either way. Just be aware that it exists. If you don't know what it is, look into it. Okay. Detox pathways being clear and open is what's helpful to naturally detox or any kind of detox. I find that people that do chelation and don't have their pathways open or don't address MTHFR, those are the ones that get pretty messed up and sick. So anyway, I'll jump through that. You can read it on your own. A couple more things to remember here, which are good. And then IAOMT.org is a site you can go and find out where you can find a dentist who knows how to safely remove amalgams, okay? And notice I said safely remove them, okay? That's how dangerous these things are, that there's a safe removal protocol, even though your dentist might say there's nothing wrong with them in your mouth. So anyway, let's get into my dad's story. As like me and my buddy Vince, who I spoke about and I will talk about in my next video, my dad worked at the same factory as we did. He was there 20 years there when he retired at about age 60 and a half. He passed from lung cancer at age 75. He was almost 76, 2 days away from his birthday. At that time, I just thought he had lung cancer. I believe Dad's real issue was mercury. He also had mesothelioma from asbestos exposure, but let's look at his story and his symptoms and see how it all came about. When Dad was having symptoms, we all had no idea why. No one suspected mercury from the factory, although so many there were sick that the union president at the time kept fighting for management to look into what's going on. Why is everybody sick? Why is everybody getting cancer in their 50s? So he ended up being fired from that job. From what I heard directly from him, he never really found a comparable job locally. He had to survive on some lesser paying jobs, which he did. You can come to your own conclusions on that and all of what I'm saying here. It's unfortunate that happened to him. He's a good guy. And all he was trying to do is say to somebody, hey, look, something doesn't make sense here. Can you please look into it? Thank God there's people like that in the world, because those are the people that are driving change. Years before Dad talked about being, he talked about being fatigued. He lost all his teeth, which is a Mercury symptom. He had stomach ulcers. He was off work a few times, very, very sick. I remember when I was a kid, teenager, he was, throwing up and losing weight, and just a mess. It was horrible to watch. And we thought it was ulcers. That was a term back then. Was it the mercury detoxing from exposure? Maybe it was. It all comes out your digestive system, right? Or it tries to. My digestive system was wrecked when I was exposed to mercury. Still is. I still deal with it, trying to heal. This is all happening in the early 1990s, maybe the late 80s. Dad also had some mini strokes, TIAs, around the age 60. At that time, I recall a specific conversation when he told me, something isn't right. He has no steam, he has no energy. And I said, Dad, you're 60. I'm sure we start to feel it when we're that age. And I was in my 40s, and he very adamantly looked at me, and he gave me that dad look, and he said, no, something isn't right. Okay, at that time, I had no idea what to even think. I feel sad what I said to him now, because at that age he was at, I have felt that drain of energy. My adrenals, I know, weren't working in my mercury review. Mercury attacks the adrenals very badly, and that's very likely what he was dealing with. After he had the TIA, they did a thorough check on him, and on an x-ray, chest x-ray, they did see a tiny spot on his lung. So doctor recommended surgery. He had surgery. They removed 2/3 of his right lung. The doctor said it was almost not operable. It was like from some chemical type exposure, even though Dad smoked. For about 50 years, the surgeon said, no, smokers' tumors are different. I'm confident, like, this is chemical related. And at that time, I still didn't connect it to mercury. I knew he worked in a chemical plant, so I thought, okay, chemicals, but again, root cause. Okay, don't look at the chemical that they make. Look at the stuff that goes into making the chemical. Okay, it's the same with foods now. Don't look at the food you're eating. Look at how it's processed. Look at what goes into the food. Look at the trace this and the trace that, and all the little chemicals they put in there. And they say, oh, they're small amounts, they won't hurt you. Well, I disagree. Okay, all my levels were low on my hair test, and I'll show you that in another video. So anyway, Dad had chemo. After chemo, he was good for about 5 years, no symptoms, cancer-free. Then almost on his 5th anniversary date, when they say after 5 years you're good, he got hit with another lung cancer. This time the doctor said there's nothing he can do. He's got 6 months to live. My dad came to tell me this, and I said, Dad, doctors don't decide on it. We need to get other opinions. Again, my dad, back in that time, he was an old school type guy, and the doctor knew it all, right? So the hardest thing was getting him to not trust or believe what the doctor said was true. That's unfortunate. So he spent a day at the local cancer research center here, only to be told that they agree with the oncologist's finding, that there's nothing they can do. And I said, really? How can the research center have absolutely nothing they can do to help the guy? Unbelievable. Just, you're stunned, right? So then I kept looking. I noticed an ad in the paper from a new clinic that was opening, so we made an appointment. The doctor at the clinic was actually a past head lead position at this local research center I'm talking about, and he told us a story how he was let go there. He was let go for they termed playing God, trying to save people who the system at the time said there's nothing more they can do, that his protocol said there's nothing more they can do, he shouldn't do anything more. Well, he saved a lot of people going beyond the standards, playing God as the system told him. This is again around in the 1990s. He gave several examples how he worked on someone who recovered after the system wrote them off. I liked his attitude, and I always recall one thing he said, that if you shoot for the moon, you will not hit the moon. But if we shoot for the stars, we will definitely hit the moon. So you have to reach high in this and go above and beyond and it's a good thing to remember in life too. People wonder why they fall short. Well, you got to try. You got to reach beyond where you're going, and then that's more of a guarantee that you're going to hit it. Actually, that might be some engineering in there. That's how engineers kind of think. You over design. You don't design right to the limit where, oh yeah, at this limit it'll hold it, but an ounce more it's going to break. You never do something like that. I mean, engineers, put a factor of 5 or 10 or even more into their designs. So keep that in mind too. He told Dad that he can treat him with radiation, which the research center said would not do anything. And let's look at a 3-year outlook for him, like he'll make it for 3 years. Well, Dad was very happy. He's shocked, stunned. Gave him a shot, gave him a chance. It's all he wanted. So he did the radiation. And I also found a California-based supplement place where the owner cured herself from kidney cancer. She had a month to live at the time, and she cured herself doing natural things. So, this is very new back in the 1990s to be hearing this kind of stuff. Nowadays, more and more people are thinking that way and doing that kind of thing because we're more aware, thank God, more awake. So I followed what she was telling me. Well, we did a saliva test on my dad, which determined what he was deficient in. And then she prescribed certain supplements for him to take that would help those deficiencies. So he took those supplements for about 3.5 years. He did very, very well while he was taking them. But after around that time, I didn't know, he stopped taking the supplements. He was tired of the whole ordeal. I don't know, I can't talk for him, but I just knew because he told my aunt, and my aunt told me later. 6 months almost to the day, he passed. I mean, you could just watch the decline as soon as he stopped the supplements. So I'm very sure the supplements kept him going, which tends to say natural healing ideas can help and can work in that situation. Also works with Mercury. So the lady back in California actually called my dad early on to encourage him that what the doctor said isn't his call. And I thank her very much for that kindness and help she showed. Since I think closed her shop or sold it and retired, and I hope she's doing really, really well. She's just a really, really nice, kind person to go way out of her way to help me and my dad. While I was researching my situation at that factory, here's where it gets good. I accidentally got Dad's blood work data. I showed it to my chelation doctor. He said, your dad had like lethal levels of mercury in him. And my dad had no idea. Nobody had any idea. Well, that explains his loss of energy. How can any work establishment not know what safe levels are? And to this day, I'll tell you, they really don't. Just the fact that we doctors use blood tests to know what levels are safe tells us all that they don't know what they're doing, they're not testing properly, and they're giving you the wrong answer. I had no idea about mercury during Dad's battle. Had I known, maybe we could have tried some detox. Back then, we all thought our body just detoxes anything. We are so misinformed. So me, my dad, and my buddy all worked at the same place, and Dad and my buddy were both with mercury and toxicity. So was I. Dad's had gone towards lung cancer. My buddy had like 12 diseases. It affected his circulation and digestion. So it just goes to show you how it affects us differently. And in both cases, it led to their early passing, unfortunately. And again, I'll talk about my buddy shortly. Something else I want to mention about, and my dad was at work when he was high blood levels. Again, we all know if your blood levels are high, your body's really messed up. Poison. They would take them out of the area for like 3 weeks until your levels came down, and then put you back in the area. Well, your levels are going to come down naturally because your body is trying to get rid of the stuff, but it doesn't mean it's out of your body. It very likely is stored in your body, and that's where a hair test comes in. So anyway, that's my dad's story. Again, I didn't really figure out that he was probably mercury poisoned as a root cause until 15, 20 years after he passed away. People are going to say, what's your proof? Blah, blah, blah. I'm sorry, but when you know enough about this stuff, you just know enough about this stuff. The sad thing is, here's a thought, his death certificate doesn't say anything about mercury. or mercury poisoning. It does talk about lung cancer and respiratory failure and things like that. So just kind of seems like we're missing something. That's my dad's story. And next I'm going to do my buddy Vince's story, and I hope the audio is better. Take care. Thank you. Please like, comment, subscribe. Appreciate you all listening.